So now we are going to make a carved cake. We also call them novelty cakes because they are not going to be in the conventional shapes like the round square. So I'm just going to teach you how to carve a cake. We are going to make a boot house cake. So the cake is going to be the boot. Okay, we're going to carve the cake and then make the boot, and then the house on top of the boot we are going to make using Rice Krispie treats, which will follow this. So right now I have the cakes with me, just chopped to go on. Okay, and I'm just going to first use the board. So this is the board that I'm going to set. I am going to use ganache. Okay, so this is a 1:2 dark ganache. I'm going to have the boot set here on one side and then have another house, an opening to the boot house on the right side here. So I'm just going to spread out ganache here for the cake to come and sit. Now this cake I'm just going to cut. I'm going to almost take 3/4 because in carving we are going to lose out on the size as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and then cut out 3/4. I'm getting the board and then I'm just going to place it towards the front because on the back I need another piece. So this is half. Okay, so this cake is here, which I've just cut into half, and then this is quarter, okay, of this sponge. I'm just going to stick this one here. Now to stick, obviously we need ganache. And then stick the, we'll just carve, so we'll have a bit of exact fitting of the boot on this board. Okay, so now on top of this I'm just going to place this one to check if I need so much height for the boot. I wouldn't need so much, so I'm just going to vertically, no, horizontally cut this into half. Because I'm just going to use one of this to layer. On top of this, I'm going to add ganache. And here it will be the place where the legs go in into the boot, right? So this place I'm just going to add the bigger portion. So I'm just going to ganache here and again stack that cake over there. I'm just looking at some more height. I'm just going to check if half of this will fit in there. Yes, I'm going to add this as well. If I feel that is too much, then I could cut it out, like I could carve it out later. So now I'm just going to start with this height. So I need ganache here for this layer to stick in as well. So once we have the filling put, especially if it is ganache, and then we've just increased the height here, you just want the ganache to set well and keep the layers together. So while carving, it just doesn't become wobbly and keep moving. So I'm just going to start carving now. I'm going to use the serrated knife itself. Now if that is pretty long for you to start carving, you could use your kitchen knife also. So the first goal for the shoe is going to be, the boot is going to be rounded here. So for the first step, we are just going to remove this sharp edge from the sponge. So I'm just going to hold the knife at an angle like that to the cake. Okay, and I'm just going to use saw motion. So every time you carve, you just don't go slicing through like how you cut through your cake to eat, but you do saw motion and slice out. So now you see this part is sharp, and then you have the rounded edge here, and you do the same thing to this side as well. You just turn it to the side that's comfortable to you, and holding the knife at an angle and remove the sharp edge and save these cake bits, and you could use it to build more bulk on this cake itself, or if whatever is left over, then you could just make truffles or cake pops or cake balls, so they're not wasted. I'm just going a little one layer above. And again here in the front also it should be reduced in the sense we need to have a gentle taper, not a sharp edge. Okay, so gently bring it down. All the sharp edges would just get cut now. I'm going to check for the size, and now let me round off here because they are all square and sharp at the moment. So we just need to round it out, remove all the sharp sides. Now let's do that to all the four sides. I'm just cutting out on the base here, just trying to cut here to tuck it in a bit. Otherwise, when you're going to ganache and then drape it, if this is not gone inside, it will look like the strips of fondant are just protruding out. So just go in and then cut a bit on the inside, because it will take up ganache as you are ganaching, and then a bit of fondant, a bit of this gap will anyway get covered up. I'm just going to chop here in the front and then taper this part, because here I don't want it like too bulky. No, the shape is getting closer to what we want. I'm just going to taper these both sides and then a bit here as well. So you want the boot to be a little pointy and not broad here at the front. I'm just going to taper this end now. So while carving, we just need to give more space for the ganache to come and also for the fondant to come. They are going to add the bulk. Now when you're carving and you want something in a specific size and a shape, you need to overdo, like carve it a little more, where you need a certain amount of depth, like say you're just looking at like a 1 inch depth in a certain place, and when you're carving you're just going to give that 1 inch depth, and then you're just going to ganache over it, and then you're going to do fondant over it, and the thickness that is going to get added for the ganache and the fondant will just take down all the 1 inch of carving that you've already done. So keeping that in mind, when you just want a dent or a slope, then for the angle or whatever you think you need to get in your cake and you're carving it, overdo and then make it a little smaller than you actually need. So give room for the ganache and the fondant. So now this is the shape that I want my end boot to be in, but I'm just going to now create the room for the ganache. So I'm just overdoing the part, and so removing off and creating the shape a little more deeper than what I would want. So as you carve, once you have the shape that you need, then you have the perspective, after which look for the additional extra carving, because you need to give room for the ganache. So I'm just going to get the crumbs out. I have the shape here. Now I just need to check for a bit of roundedness, like wherever it is sharp anyway the ganache would come in, and then we'll be able to soften out if there are any sharp sides. Now here I just don't want a very sharp steep transition between this part of the shoe and the vertical side. So I'm just going to add in a bit of sponge here. so that you can just pick it up from the cuts that you've just made. So when you ganache it, it's going to smooth out and then have a shape that it is just gradually just going on here, and you're not going to have a very sharp cut. Okay. Now I'm just going to clear this up and put the cake in the freezer for about 15 minutes, and then we are just going to seal the crumbs while you're going to ganache on top of it. We don't want the ganache to catch up on the crumbs, so we form this cake up. I'm just going to get back and then show you how to ganache an unconventional shape. Here is the carved boot house. So we get back after freezing this for 15 minutes.